A massive Path of Titans update hit the game on Wednesday, bringing 7 months worth of content to the game that the developers have been cooking away on the public test branch. And today, I'm combining the Dinosaur overview video, the LAMBEOSAURUS overview video, and this video, which is overviewing the entire dev blog, into one massive update overview video for you all to get up to speed on what has happened in this update. So, let's just go ahead and get right into it, shall we? There are 3 major changes in this game's update. The LAMBEOSAURUS TLC, which I will showcase later in this video on the timestamp on the screen now, server performance improvements, and the upgrade to the game's engine to Unreal Engine 5.3 from Unreal Engine 5.0. So, the 2 final changes that were mentioned there, let's talk about them. The first one is server performance. The developers have introduced major upgrades to the servers in this update, which they have been testing diligently. This will allow for smoother gameplay overall and way better server performance in the game as well. It's highly likely that these massive server tests that they were doing on the public test branch will be replicated by this here, and this is likely what they were testing. You know, when they got 100 people into Impact Crater, well, that is probably slowly seeped its way into the game. So what can we expect from this? We can expect higher tick rates, so more stable servers, better server performance when highly congested, better performance in crowded areas, for example, if there was 100 people in Impact Crater, and areas with mass amounts of people will cause less strain on servers, so tick rates shouldn't be astronomically low as they were before. You know, when you went on a server and it had like a tick rate of 5 out of 60. Yeah, that was really bad. Now it should be better than that. So time will tell there. The other thing that came that I mentioned was the upgrade to Unreal Engine 5.3 and hot patching. The Unreal Engine 5.3 upgrade is finally here, and this is why all of your replays are now broken. So, I mean, I'm not to blame for it, but I will say sorry. I know how it feels. This is a massive change, however, and it's worth all your replays breaking because the Unreal Engine 5.3 has allowed the developers to focus on performance of the game, contributing massively to the previous thing I talked about, server performance. However, this update to the engine isn't just for server performance. It's led to the introduction of more beautiful changes to the game's graphical side of things, as they are likely a byproduct of this change as well. The other thing that came as well was the introduction of hot patching, and this essentially allows the developers to be able to update the game quicker, no longer locking updates behind major updates every couple months. This is something that I'm going to briefly mention in the latter part of this video, right at the end, where I talk about what the developers plan to do for the future. However, of course, once again, that is a byproduct of the Unreal Engine 5.3 upgrade. When it came to other major general changes, there were these as well. So, starting off with baby skins. Baby skins now fully fade out in the transition to their default skin when you hit subadult growth. Anytime before that, it will be in transition. Once you hit it, it's completely gone. Moving on is UI animations. These are now in the game now, and these are specifically for the main menu and character selection screens of the game, making the game look far more polished overall. You have a clean transition animation, a fade in, fade out pretty much of the menu and all that jazz, and it's really nice. It's actually animated, it looks really nice overall. However, if this is something you don't want, if this is affecting performance on your device, you can disable this in the graphics menu of the game. You can enable/disable menu animation, so it's really up to you, and it's toggleable. Speaking of toggleable things, they have added to the game settings that you can toggle on and off bloom and lens flares. These are something that you could do in the settings of the game as well. You can toggle them both separately, so whichever fits what you like. You can get rid of the lens flares if you don't want to be blinded by the sun and want better pictures, and you can toggle bloom off as well. It really floats your boat. You can have one off, one on kind of thing. For servers, the developers have added a setting to allow you to search for your favorited server only. This is really good because if you play on a server that has a lower population and you're like trying to find it in the menu, it's going to take a while. And I know when you have it favorited, it's easier to find, but skipping through pages isn't fun. The other thing here is booking. When you get pounced onto by someone now, you get a little QUICKTIME thing where it tells you to spam spacebar or tell you to press spacebar to do a book. This actually is quite helpful for new players and people who just don't know how booking works in general. I feel like that space will help nicely. However, when it comes to the general changes overall, there are some other ones worth noting, and I've got them listed here. So, adjusted text for various abilities to be more accurate to their actual given percentages and effects, fixed a bug where the unlock and marks would block the benefits of the subspecies. Players can now see both the bonus stat of the subspecies as well as the unlock as well. Fixed certain consoles having mod download sizes that were much larger than intentional. Fixed game restart requirement when setting effects too low. Added a dedicated collection button for mobile as well. So that's all the general major changes. Now let's move to combat. Aside from all the dinosaur changes that I did mention in a previous video, but I'm going to mention here anyways in this video too, because it's lumping all them together, we got more general combat changes too, non-dinosaur related, with pounce, stomp, charges, and more. Let's start with pouncing. Slick feathers and scales have been reworked massively. This is what it is. Slick feathers and scales no longer provide complete immunity to pounce. Now when you buck/struggle, it will instead increase the stamina drain of the pouncer by an additional 30%. The Raptor Strikes ability has been buffed as well. Raptor Strikes damage boost while pouncing to 1.4. That's what the damage is now when you're pounced onto someone. Raptor Strikes does 1.4 from 1.2 for Deinonychus and Latinovenatrix. And bucking also faced a change too, tying into pouncing. I'm lumping them together here. They've adjusted bucking to instead take as long as the animation plays, which is 2 seconds. This means bucking no longer drains stamina as fast as you can press it, and instead will correspond with one loop of the bucking animation. They've added an additional curve override for bucking duration, cooldown for community servers to change if they want, which is a really nice touch. You can fully customize that now. For stomp attacks, Stomp has gotten some changes too. Stomp attacks will now hold the user in place while it's being performed to avoid sliding stomp attacks for creatures who are not intended to be able to be moved while stomping. Charges as well have been changed too. They've fixed charge ability doing full damage and knockback no matter the distance. It will now scale with the length of time channeled. Acceleration when charging is now faster overall, allowing you to gain speed quickly compared to the way charge previously worked. Scarring also gets some updates as well. The textures for scars are so much better now, and this works for when you have that initial bloody scar and when you've got that semi-healed scar as well. It looks a lot less like jam and it looks a lot more realistic now. It looks great. Additionally, there are pounce and clamp fixes as well. They're fixed for clamp and pounce ignoring home cave buff, fixed a pounce invisibility exploit, fixed pounce making players stop midair on a failed latch, fixed clamped aquatics regenerating water while being carried, fixed changing abilities while clamping target causing clamp lock stamina drain, fixed bucking preventing users from interacting with objects until the latched creature was removed, fixed teleporting when clamped while being attached, fixed infinite stamina drain when clamping a dinosaur that has the home cave buff, fixed for dinosaurs being able to latch onto an already latched creature, fixed clamping dinos dropping victim when pounced, and fixed raptors getting stuck after detaching from a crouched Hatzegopteryx. And that's the pounce and clamp fixes. Of course, there are some other ones as well for general combat fixes. Aside from the pounce fixes, there are general combat fixes as well. However, of course, there are so many to go over here. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight my favorite ones, showcase them off, and then have the full changelog on the screen. So let's get into my favorite of these general fixes. Who even watches fixes anyways? This is the final combat stuff. There's still so much more to go over, but let's dive into them. Fixed for ability cooldowns persisting through death. Passive effects of slotted abilities that have dropped below the unlockable growth threshold are now disabled. Passive effects of slotted abilities that have risen above the unlockable growth threshold are now automatically activated if there are slotted abilities below the growth requirement after joining a game. A toast will tell you that. Fixed it so abilities are unable to continue to cooldown while the home cave buff is applied. Fixed being able to heal status effects in home cave. Fixed kick attacks occasionally rubber banding. Fixed status effects persisting after death. Fixed rip and kick, tail fan, pounce exceeding velocity, causing the character to move faster than intended as well. That was broken speed exploits right there. Fixed Kaiwekia, Stegosaurus and Suchomimus regenerating stamina incorrectly under certain circumstances. circumstances, and you can now swallow items while using precise movement. There's a lot more there, they'll be on the screen, but that is some of them. Now let's go into the other game stuff, because those are even cooler as well. My favourite part of the update is actually the world changes, and water effects is one of the big ones here. So let's dive into that one first. Water has been updated, especially the underwater effects all across the map and the underwater caustics. They have reflections, refracted light, better caustics, light rays, and even less performance intense as well. And this goes alongside stronger tints underwater as well, so each biome fits together so nicely. For lower end devices to cope with this, they have done this. They've added low quality settings version of underwater biome blending to avoid certain water rendering issues, which is pretty nice. But that's not all with the water as well, because water effects have been updated when it comes to dinosaurs. So if you have a wet dinosaur that's in the rain, look at the dripping effects, look at the detail there. They also have included a new dripping effect as well, and if you jump into the water, there is a brand new splash effect as well. That is all new. Moving on to another world thing, this is nighttime brightness. Nighttime brightness has been changed slightly. They have increased brightness of fog on low shadow settings to improve nighttime appearing too dark when foggy. They have fixed medium lighting settings, making the game appear darker at nighttime, and this has had an effect on daytime lighting on to various degrees as well, so do bear that in mind. The other thing here that has been changed is game sounds as well. We've got some updates here for them, starting off with footsteps. They've reworked the way footsteps calculate attenuation based on growth stage. They will now fade out much quicker when you are younger compared to being an adult. This is most notable with large creatures such as Spinosaurus. They've also overall reduced the range at which footsteps can be heard. Crouching walking will also now play an overall quieter footstep sound for dinosaurs as well. So you know what, let's just have a listen to them both all at the same time, see what you can notice here. For broadcast calls can now travel much further than other calls. Here is an example of that as well. And of course, water and rain. They have adjusted water and beach sound effects to not reach so far and reduced volume by 40%. It's a lot quieter, it's a lot more noticeable. They've reduced rain and wind volume slightly, and when it comes to rain, they have also re-added the thunder sound to storms, and it sounds far better than they had done previously. It's subtle, but it's so very nice. It's really, really good. And so, let's start with Rhamphorhynchus. Rhamphorhynchus has added a rat out alert animation. The bite is now moved to the common slot and can be equipped at all times to make fishing, critter hunting easier. They've added immunity to plague carrier effects if it is equipped, changed how plotting whispers behaves and fixed issues, improved bloodsucker drain to 20% from 5%, they have improved the woozy effect, improved scab picker deepening wounds, added lucky feathers passive effect. Now that passive effect basically means that when you are attacked, you gain 10 seconds of immunity if that attack was about to kill you. Added fishing lore ability, added fishy breath ability, fixed Rhamphorhynchus full bleed bug, fixed Rhamphorhynchus being able to regenerate health while pouncing, fixed Rhamphorhynchus being able to benefit from a Kilobator buffs, and fixed Rhamphorhynchus dart not working while holding fish. Hatzegopteryx gets a whole bunch of changes. However, it does get a new vocal ability. It gets two. It gets beat clack, which essentially means that any ungrouped character within 10 meters does an alert call, and deaf croak, which is a call that lowers armor by 15% in a 30-meter radius. However, it got a bunch of other changes as well. They've increased the slow flying and fast flying stamina costs. Hatzegopteryx peck can no longer be used in the air. Increased Hatzegopteryx peck damage to 60 from 50. Decreased peck cooldown to 1.5 from 2. Decreased peck barrage damage to 4. Decreased peck barrage cooldown to 3. Added the Shriek of Horrors ability, which is this one, a brand new ability which reduced all carryable dinosaurs speed by 15% in 30 meters. They've added beat clack and deaf croak as well. They've fixed numerous things, for example, impact damage with home cave buff active, carnage persisting after switching to evil eye, and fly down button disappearing once pressed, forcing it to crouch when landing. Deinonychus gets improved stamina depletion rate to allow for Deinonychus to run for longer periods. You can now equip Pounce at Juvenile for 400 marks. Fixed lightweight on Deinonychus, reducing combat weight, which made them unable to be pounced by other Deinonychuses at the same growth stage. For Latinovenatrix, they have fixed the baby Latinovenatrix using less running stamina while in the tutorial cave. And I'm not sure if this is basically the same thing here, but it looks like Latinovenatrix also got a new skin. The default skin has changed because it used to be this. Although I don't know if that was already on this version of the game. The Kilobator gets a brand new ability, which is the Mocking Cackle ability, which reduces the effectiveness of booking by 50% for 30 seconds to all dinosaurs within a 15-meter radius. And this is that ability right there. They've also increased bite damage to 60 from 50, decreased bite cooldown to 1.5, decreased claw attack damage to 70, increased shred damage to 180, decreased shred cooldown to 1.5, decreased cruel swipe damage to 30, increased strength in numbers buff to 5%, increased mob boss buff to 5%, added Mocking Cackle ability, and fixed Kilobator dropping items when using claw attacks. And finally, the Kilobator wound textures have been added, so its damage will be more accurate to where the player is hit. Now, this is mainly to focus on pouncing and group-based abilities, and they wanted to make it go further in that direction. Concavenator gets a brand new default skin, or well, the default skin gets updated. This is the default skin. It looks a lot nicer now. The textures just look a lot better. That being said, it did get some other stuff as well. They've increased the claw attack bleed to 1, increased the ripping kick bleed to 1 as well. Metriacanthosaurus has some changes as well. The hustle duration has been increased to 5 minutes from 2 and range is 75 meters from 30. They've also made a fix where the call ability getting removed at the adolescent stage occurred, but that is that. Ceratosaurus gets a brand new default skin, and here it is right here, or well, an updated version, because the original default skin is... I was going to say this one, but I don't actually play Cerato enough to know what the original default skin is. Maybe it's that one. Oh, but this is a new one anyways for the default skin, and it looks very nice. Additionally, the thrash cooldown has been increased to 8 seconds. They've unlinked thrash and bite cooldowns. Armored tail reduced to 25% damage from 85 to 95. Venom heal subspecies has been changed to now be a 10% bleed and venom heal. They've also added new sitting and sleeping animations. Here it is right here, and as you can see, when it sleeps and yawns, that's what it looks like when it sleeps. And we'll have it there for you to have a look at anyways. They've adjusted Ceratosaurus' melanistic skin mouth tint to be darker, updated Ceratosaurus' default skin, fixed Ceratosaurus animation sliding when crouching and moving forward, and fixed the abilities of Ceratosaurus becoming unusable if doing the charged bite right after activating emotes. For Megalania, they've decreased the stamina sprint cost to 0.8, increased bite damage to 30, decreased stamina recovery rate to 0.6, Land speed species has been changed to 25% increased jump height, and fixed Megalania stamina recovery rates being identical when sitting, standing, sleeping, if non-adult. They've also made its footstep sounds lighter overall. Alioramus also gets changes as well. Like Ceratosaurus, it gets a new sitting and a new sleeping animation as well. Additionally to that, they also get the turn species being changed to 3% damage boost, and they've adjusted Alioramus melanistic skin mouth tint to be darker, fixed Alioramus sliding when crouching and walking forward, left and right. With Daspletosaurus, I'm unsure if the default skin got any adjustments, but I feel like it has. It seems like it's got a little bit of a change. I just wanted to point that out. However, with Daspletosaurus, this is a very good dinosaur now. They've decreased the bite damage to 70 from 80, decreased bite cooldown to 1.5 from 2, bite attacks should not put other bite attacks on cooldown anymore. They've also updated the default skin and updated the eye texture to be a little bit brighter, which is a little bit evident in this video. Kaiwekia, they have fixed the barrel roll skipping animation if it reaches the surface, and fixed both Kaiwekia and Urinosaurus having the same subspecies name. Moving into Urinosaurus as well, they fixed Urino Pounce, taking more stamina with each consecutive pounce, fixed the bleed amounts of Urinosaurus attacks based on growth stages, fixed Urinosaurus sleeping and sitting stamina recovery not being consistent for all growth stages, and the final one, the baby Urinosaurus visuals not appearing at a distance, has been fixed. For Suchomimus, the land speed species has been changed to 10% bleed and venom heal species, so I believe that one is this one, right? Laparanti is the one that's gotten changed. They've also fixed Suchomimus's idle animation freezing when in precise movement or when it is held. Allosaurus does get some changes as well. They're not major. They've increased the claw attack bleed to 1, increased the hatchet bite bleed to 1.25. Now, the changes are on the screen there for you to have a look. These are nice changes, although I do wish this dinosaur could be better. It seems they're focusing on making Allo a bleed-based dinosaur. Pygnomasaurus sees its armored tail reduced, like with the other dinosaurs that get that, and its base health has been increased by 100 to 550 from 450. Darkosuchus sees numerous changes as well. They've increased the stamina recovery rate to 0.4 from 0.3. They've fixed Sarco's asphyxiate and bite, taking away stamina and oxygen while they have home cave buff active as well. And then we move into the last two carnivores here, Spino and Rex. Spinosaurus has these changes. They've increased stamina recovery rate to 0.4 from 0.3. Land species has been changed to 10% health recovery rate. Fixed some Spinosaurus subspecies having odd stretching around the legs when animating. Fixed Spinosaurus using swim idle animation in certain situations. And then we move to the last carnivore, which is Tyrannosaurus Rex. And I don't know where it is. Tyrannosaurus gets these changes. They've increased face tank damage reduction to 30%. Fixed a bug where the Tyrannosaurus was not taking 20% increased damage by default when attacked on the head. They've reduced the volume of Tyrannosaurus claws by 50%. Fixed inconsistent sounds for digging burrows with Rex. Fixed Tyrannosaurus isn't able to crouch when digging a burrow as well. And of course, now let's go into the herbivores. Pachycephalosaurus gets one change. Its run speed subspecies has been changed to 25% increased jump height. Now, when you go and have a look at what that one is, it's Hogwartsia. That's the one that's been changed. Kentrosaurus sees some major nerfs overall. A shame for Kentrosaurus players, but the spike subspecies has had its effects reduced to 1.2 from 3 times, which is huge. Tail attack bleed damage reduced to 0.2 from 0.35, reduced base health to 450 from 550, reduced health recovery rate to 1.25 from 1.83, and they've increased turning radius to make Kentro have wider turns compared to before. They've basically reduced its effectiveness overall to make it fit in with other 2 slots, which I think is a shame, and of course Kentro thinks it's a shame as well because now it's raining. However, one that's got updates that aren't a shame is Anodontosaurus. The venom healing subspecies for Anodontosaurus has been changed to be 10% bleed and venom heal. However, it's not actually showing here by the looks of it. Have they forgot to change it? I'm not too sure. However, if we go into the game, Anodontosaurus does receive some new sitting and sleeping animations. And while we're in the rain, I can show you them right here. So you got your sit, and then you got your sleep as well. And that is the new sitting and sleeping animations for Anodontosaurus. Speaking of Anodontosaurus, they've fixed Anodontosaurus Fortify not remaining active when crouched, fixed Anodontosaurus being able to sleep with hunker down, and fixed Anodontosaurus is knocked out of fully activated hunker down by knockback effects, which is a really big change there. Albertoceratops has gotten these changes. They fixed Albertoceratops sliding when crouching and walking. Albertoceratops footsteps are now heavier overall, and they've updated the trot animation. And if I really quickly show it off right here, it's quite hard to showcase it off in the rain, but this should be what it looks like to those who can make out that new trotting animation. I think it looks very nice, and overall, it's a nice change. Struthiomimus gets a whole range of changes as well. The hustle duration has been increased to 5 minutes from 2 and range is 75 meters. They've decreased acceleration subspecies effect to 50% from 200%. However, they've got changes here as well. You won't be able to see them as well in the rain, but the skins Default, Fox and Budgie have been updated and look far better than they did before. A precursor to the Struthiomimus TLC, most likely. These are beautiful updates to skins. For Eotriceratops, its Stomp no longer shares the same cooldown as Headbutt, and they've fixed juvenile Eotriceratops making adult sounds in some situations. And then we move to the last two, because technically the other one I'm not going to be going over fully, but Dinosaurus gets some changes. They've fixed Dinosaurus swimming, ascending / descending too slowly, and then we move down to the last one, Iguanodon. They've decreased its combat weight to 4,000 from 5,000. That is a massive change. Decreased the max health to 700 from 800 and disabled Iguanodon's charge. The reason for that is because this dinosaur will be one of the next dinosaurs to get a major ability overhaul to come to the game. Don't know if it's going to get a model overhaul, but they did say it's getting an ability TLC. The new LAMBEOSAURUS TLC is now available within Path of Titans after the last or latest major update for the game. And here is the full rundown of that brand new updated model. And I gotta say, this is gorgeous. And it comes with so much. So with the LAMBEOSAURUS, all the subspecies got reworked. So here are all the new ones here. You've got Plausidens, which is plus 3% health recovery. You've then got Lambe, which is plus 10% swim speed, and plus Magnacristatus, which is plus 10% stamina recovery. One of the biggest changes in the subspecies reworks is the crests. Although they are different from species to species, the change is less noticeable species to species. However, body-wise, it still changes its stature and everything like that. Especially when you look at it from the side, you can see the overall changes are to the bulk of the body and the back of the body as well. For the skins for male and female, you get this one, which is male, and then female, which is more greens, kind of like the default skin. Speaking of skins, they've all changed. All the skins on LAMBEOSAURUS have obviously been updated to fit with the model. 3 of them have changed more so though, with the default skin changing the most compared to before. Before it was more green, kind of like how it was as a female. It was more like that, but a lot greener. Now it's changed a ton. The next skin to be changed a lot is the swamp skin. This also faced some major changes, with this one being more vibrant overall and having those black lines going on around it. The next one that has changed a lot is the Bard skin. Where is it? Here it is. This is a skin that faced some major TLCs with the new update, of course, and then when we go to the other model skins, you get these ones too. So you got the jungle skin, which has been updated to the model. All of these have been updated. The next is picture. They look so much better overall. Here we have blue crest as well on the updated model, where everything just looks so much nicer detail wise, and some of them just feel more vibrant. The next one is koi, and then you've got the Baka skin here, and then of course this new one, which is Kaluma, which is the spring pack skin, which also looks great. Then you've got slanted. We're going to skip out Bard, which is next, and you've got albino and melanistic. The melanistic I think looks a lot better on the new model. But now let's showcase this thing off in game. So the baby LAMBEOSAURUS model looks absolutely adorable. This has changed as well with the remodel, and it looks so cute. A lot greener with this baby skin, but the other thing that it gets, obviously the first attack you get is still your kick attack, but you of course get some new calls. All the calls, I believe, have been updated. I'm not too sure, but we're going to showcase them off because the animations, likewise, have been changed. With the baby LAMBEOSAURUS, it's probably worth noting that combat-wise, it's not going to change that much. However, the adult Lambeo has received major overhauls, which make it far better than it was before. So let's go ahead and showcase that all off, and when we do, showcase it off on our test subject as well, who isn't an iguanodon today. Now, obviously, it's important to know I currently have the female skin on for the LAMBEOSAURUS, but obviously the animations have been reworked and everything like that. A lot of things have been reworked as well for the LAMBEOSAURUS as well. So its max health has been decreased to 525. It was originally 600. Its tail attack cooldown was now 4 seconds. It was 1 second. They've improved its swim turning. They've decreased tail attack damage to 20. It was originally 40. And the cooldown species has been changed to 3% health recovery. They've increased its base running speed to 1000 and increased its base trot speed to 400. And they've also improved the bipedal walk speed and turn radius. They've added a 100% damage modifier while bipedal for the front kick attack, and a lot more as well. I'll probably have the rest of it on the screen there. That being said, of course, I was talking about it, this thing can go bipedal instead of crouching now. Before, it used to crouch, now it does bipedal. One of the things to note is that kick attack does more damage when you're in bipedal compared to not, and we'll test that out in a moment. So that is the LAMBEOSAURUS, just quick rundown. Let's showcase everything else, the attacks and everything that's new. So when it comes to LAMBEOSAURUS, these are all the new stuff that you can expect in this TLC. It's got 3 new sense abilities. One of them it already had, which was Lone Survivor, but the 2 new ones are Family Chorus, which gains a 10% increased stamina recovery that applies to each Hadrosauridae and Iguanodontidae in your group, and it stacks up to 4 times. If you have Family Chorus equipped, you gain a stack for each Hadrosaur and Iguanodont. If not, you gain a stack for each member with the ability. Of course, Musician is next, and it's 20% faster vocal ability cooldowns, which is really cool. Of course, then you get to your attacks. Your kick attack, obviously, same as before. Remember, that does more damage when you are in bipedal stance. You get Dunking Kick as well, which is a kick underwater that deals damage to anything you hit, but also gives you a passive 10% swimming speed increase, and it's only usable while swimming, and it propels you forward. It's actually really good, by the way. I tested this in a stream a while ago. It's quite substantial. I'd recommend this if you are an aquatic lifestyle, but you can't use this on land. For the hide, you get 2 new hides. Of course, you get Resilient Scales and Streamlined as per, but you also get Healing Presence, which is resting or sleeping will increase all group members' healing by 25% when within a 10-meter radius. And then you get Protector, which increases armor by 15% to all Camptos, Truthios, Kentros, or Patchies within 75 meters as well. For your legs, you get 2 new abilities here. One of them is passive, one of them is aggressive. You've got Braced Legs, which ignores uphill movement decrease, increases speed when moving downhill by 10%, and reduces fall damage by 10%, which I think is really good. It's kind of like that buff to fall damage that some of the jumpy boys get, but obviously you don't jump with this. You get Shove as well, which is a lunge forward, knocking back enemies. And then for your attacks here, you get a back kick, standard as before, web feet, standard as before, but rodeo kick, which is brand new here. This is really cool because it spins in a circle and causes knockback, and I'll show you that in a moment. For your tail, this is the same as before. All of them are the same. Obviously, we've got tail attack equipped, mainly because I want to test that increased cooldown and the reduced damage as well. For your vocal abilities, each ability has been split into 3. You've got 3 combat calls, 3 healing calls, and 3 survival calls. You can have a look at all of them here. You've got Call to Arms, which is a 20% attack damage increase for all group members within 30 meters for 45 seconds. Rallying Horn, which implies 20% armor increase for all group members within 30 meters for 45 seconds. And Blaring Cry, which all enemies within 30 meters deal 20% reduced damage for 30 seconds. Moving on there, you've got your Healing Calls, which is Primal Mend, which we know about, Healing Call, which we know about, and Rejuvenating Roar, which is new, where all group members within 30 meters heal status effects twice as quickly for 30 seconds. Then, for your survival calls. All of these, I believe, are new aside from Hustle. Hustle, we know before, it had it before. Then you get Guiding Beacon, which all group members within 75 meters receive a significantly reduced damage for 2 meters. However, affected group members will deal no damage for the duration of this buff. So, it's essentially helping you run away, I would assume, but it makes you stronger. It's interesting that you won't be able to do any damage at all, so survival-wise and fighting-wise, it's not going to be the most useful, maybe unless you're just trying to run away. Then you got Slow Digestion, which allows group members within 75 meters to receive 30% slower food and water drain for 5 minutes. Once again, really good. For the attacks, these are them. Of course, you've got your kick, and then you do that on your bipedal stance, and there you go. You have your rodeo kick, your shove, and the tail attack. This is followed up with a back kick. And now we go into all of the calls and showcase the animations and calls for each of these abilities. So let's start with the combat calls. So, when it comes to your attacks, we have our Allosaurus here. And Allosaurus did also, along with other dinosaurs, get some improvements as well. So, let's showcase the kick. So that's how much damage the kick does. You can't really tell, it's hard to see. But that's how much damage the kick does when you're not in your bipedal stance. When you're in your bipedal stance, it does more, however. It doubles the damage up, and it's more significant there. So you obviously want to be bipedal when you do it. The next one is your back kick, which is a standard attack that it had before, but it's always nice to see how much damage it does now. It does the same as if you'd done your kick attack on your hind limbs. Then you get your shove, which does less damage, but it knocks the dinosaur back further. Obviously, if the dinosaur had more combat weight, it's going to go less, and if it had less combat weight, it's going to go more, kind of thing. When it comes to the tail attack, of course, this now has 4 seconds cooldown. It does knockback, and it does less damage than it done before. That cooldown is very long, and it's definitely going to be quite annoying. However, that knockback is really good, and so you're still protected from the rear. It's just if you'd want that over anything else. The next thing you get is your rodeo kick, which I'm actually a really big fan of. This kind of does knockback as well. You'll see. It does a lot of damage. Obviously, that hit in the face, but you've got more potential to hit stuff in the face anyways. Look at how much damage that done overall. However, it does lock you in place. You can't do anything until you've finished the ability, but when you're doing the ability anyways, you're very, very strong. Just dinosaurs will have to learn how far you reach with it, and then once they figure that out, you might become more worse off doing it, maybe. Anyways, there is another ability, and that is the dunking kick. So let's have a look at that really quick. The dunking kick is an underwater attack that propels you forward. Now, this ability does angle downwards, which makes it easier for me to use a dinosaur or a creature that is semi-aquatic, because that's what you're going to be hitting. And in the case, we have a Sarco here. Now, the damage is very little, but you're going to be hitting someone in the head, but the main thing you're going to be doing with this is using it to propel yourself forward. And so that is the dunking kick ability. It does provide a passive boost as well as that quick burst forward too. So you can get past bodies of water a lot quicker, which I think is great. server owners get a lot, and these updates, honestly, with general fixes, there's so much here to cover. For server owners, there's actually 30 fixes, and for general fixes, there's 50 odd. There are so many, you could scroll for days. It's insane. So I'm just going to go over my favorite ones like I did earlier. The full changelog will be on the screen for you to pause and read if you want. Here's some of my favorites. Hazigoptrix, Akilabator, and Ramphorhynchus stats can now be edited via server curve overrides. They've enabled server optimizations by default, added logging for player bans and kicks with the admin name who performed the action, added default fallback to server map if nothing is supplied instead of crashing. When changing subspecies or skins on a server with growth disabled, it no longer changes stats. Fixed admin character getting stuck in trees, flaw occasionally. Fixed sharing modded vanilla abilities between dinosaurs containing the same name. Fixed Archon command chat command for clear sky not working. Fixed some server log spam for curve tables. And fixed missing curve table value names on Latin Venatrix's Rip and Kick, Night Stalker, and Raptor Strike's abilities. They can now be overridden with server settings. Speaking of this was just a taster of what you got for server owners. There is a lot more, and we're about to go through that with general fixes as well. So if you enjoy reading fixes like this is your time to shine. And I hope you could do it in a good speed. Okay, so this is a hefty one, and I'm not going to go over every single general fix because there's over 50 here, and there's so many. This does not even include the other hot fixes that came out after the update as well. So once again, let's go into this and showcase these changelogs, shall we? So fixed lunge to be more consistent, fixed amount array counting as a medium fish for the catch medium fish quest, fixed the character selection music playing while using the replay tool, fixed survival quests not prompting, fixed precise movement being cancelled while interacting with pickups, fixed mods owned by friends not displaying under the friends only filter, fixed skin color not being able to shed despite having all the colours fully unlocked, fixed skin shed skippable in the edit screen, fixed losing growth from subspecies reverting to defaults due to refer a friend and bundle skins, reduced the volume on the main menu, character edit and home cave music by about 50%, adjusted mossy rock textures, replay improvements to lower end devices and bug fixes for that, added functionality to allow LB plus button to be bound to creator mode objects, increased the memory usage that can be accessed by the game on Xbox One X and Xbox Series X consoles, fixed replay auto recording working on servers that have disabled replays, fixed memory / object leak relating to minimap. If I were to read off everything that's happened, it might as well be an April Fool's Day video because there is far too much for us to go over just from fixes. Who even reads this? If you're here watching this right now, hi. Are you insane? And did you read them all? Don't lie to me, because I can tell. I'm brief. It's over, I think. That's been a long one. We do have a little bit more to talk about, however. The future of the game, because the developers have given us a glimpse into the future of Path of Titans after this update, and there are two things I do need to mention first. Referring to this update specifically, mods and replays and Switch. So it's three things, actually. So with mods, you'll notice a lot of mods are missing at the moment. That's because they're not update to the version of the game, Unreal Engine 5.3, the latest patch of the game as well. So they're not playable at the moment until they are updated. So be patient there. With replays, because the new engine upgrade, yeah, your old replays are no longer accessible. I mean, it's a good trade-off anyways. For Switch doesn't have the update just yet, so a lot of you might not have the update in general, and this is due to Switch taking really long to certify update. Also, starting with this new update as well, playing Path of Titans on Nintendo Switch requires you to have Switch Online membership. This is because of a policy update with Nintendo. Single player, you don't have to have it, but to play multiplayer, you will need to have it. Okay, now the future of the game. At the end of the devlog, the developers mentioned two things. New devlog will be releasing shortly, and it might be out when this video goes up, but if it's not, it will be releasing shortly. And now I'll outline the update and the future of the game likely. They also additionally said this, in quotation marks, "Our team is working hard to minimize the time between updates and ensure that your feedback directly influences our development process. We are dedicated to improving Path of Titans and delivering more regular updates, and those regular updates are likely because of the new hot patching system. That being said, that's the full update changelog. That is very tiring, and this isn't even the end for me just yet, because I will be editing it all for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts about this update in the comments down below. This has been a really weird week. If you want to check out another video, I recommend this one, where I talked about the potential Struthiomimus TLC. Something different to tickle your fancy. Anyways guys, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Peace.